We've all had relationships with people that we were drawn to them, but we also recognized logically that they weren't good for us. They were toxic in some way. There were a lot of red flags, a lot of bad qualities, and they did a lot of shady things to you, but you still kept going back for more. Why are we attracted to people that we know aren't good for us? So is attraction a choice, or is it psychology or physiology or biology? What is it? Why are we attracted to people? There's a clinical psychologist named Lisa Lawless, and according to her, attraction is multifaceted and includes visual cues, scent, hormones, genetics, and even evolutionary factors. All of that rolled up into one. And there's a dating coach who also founded Match named Jacqueline Fay, and she said that all 5 senses are involved in forming an attraction bond between 2 people. And that you need all 5 senses, of course that's taste, touch, sense, smell, and sight. You need all 5 of those in order to form the ultimate attraction bond with somebody else. But I tend to think that attraction isn't really a choice. I can't see somebody over there who is gorgeous and just decide to be attracted to them. I might think they're sexy, but that doesn't necessarily mean that when I meet them, I'm going to be attracted to them. And there is a key difference between being attracted to somebody and recognizing that they're physically appealing. So what makes you attracted to somebody, aside from what I just covered? There's a psychology professor at the University of Southampton named Dr. Claire Hart. And according to her, it goes back to our evolutionary past. We're attracted to those who seem familiar to us. Maybe a parent, maybe a close childhood friend, maybe a close relative that we had as a young child. And it's because that familiarity provides us with comfort, predictability, and safety. So for example, if someone in your past, your childhood, was really funny, for example, you might find that you're drawn to people romantically now as an adult who are funny. And it's because you're kind of predisposed to that because of that childhood connection. Now, the $1 million question, why are we drawn to people that we know aren't good for us? And don't worry, in a second, I'm going to cover how you can stop being drawn to people that you know aren't good for you. Ultimately, it's because your wounded self is making the choice of who to be attracted to. And by that, I mean almost all of us have some sort of childhood trauma wound. It could be abandonment issues because maybe your parents got divorced at a young age and maybe you didn't see one of your parents for a long time, or maybe not ever, or maybe you were put up for adoption or whatever. But a lot of us have those kind of childhood abandonment wounds. And that can trigger either an avoidant attachment style or an anxious attachment style, because ultimately both are rooted in childhood trauma. But the avoidant pushes everybody away, the anxious pulls everybody in. But a lot of the time, we feel unworthy of love. We have low self-esteem because of those childhood abandonment wounds, and we don't really think that we deserve the love that we really deserve. We don't feel like we've earned the right to have a loyal and faithful and loving and connected partner and relationship. Logically, we might know that, yeah, of course I deserve that. Of course I'm a great guy. Any woman would be lucky to be able to have a guy like me, and I totally deserve that. Logically, I can think that. But emotionally, and especially on more of a subconscious level, I might not believe that. I might believe that I am actually unworthy of being loved. And because of that inherent belief, I might be drawn to partners who reinforce that, who treat me in such a way that it reinforces the fact that I don't think I'm lovable. I want to briefly mention a concept called repetition compulsion. I've talked about this in a lot of other videos as well. And it basically is where we are drawn to familiar behavior patterns stemming from our childhood as an adult because they are familiar, even if we know they're destructive. And the best analogy I can use is the child of a smoker who watched their parent die of lung cancer, but they become a smoker themselves. They know it's bad. They saw it firsthand, and yet they can't help but do it themselves because that behavior is so familiar. So that's repetition compulsion, and it affects a lot of us. So how do you stop being attracted to people that you know aren't good for you? I know I struggle with this in my life, And you probably do too if you're watching this video. The most effective way to stop being attracted to people that aren't good for you is a mental technique called refocusing, where essentially when you begin to think about this person, maybe it's your ex, and you can't get them out of your mind and you're drawn to them and you desperately want them back, but you know they're toxic, you know they're not good for you, and you desperately want them back. And so every time you think about them, make a conscious choice to stop, maybe take some deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth, and then refocus your thoughts onto something totally different. I know that's easier said than done, but it's a great way to kind of train your brain to focus on more positive things and to quit focusing on the negative things. As my last therapist liked to say, have your thoughts, just don't invite them in for tea. Remember, you are in control of your brain. You are in control of your thoughts. And if negative thoughts enter your brain, you are in control of how long they stay there. All of us have negative thoughts that enter our brains. It's totally true. I don't think I would want you to get to a place where you never had a negative thought about anything. I don't think that's healthy. I think it's realistic to have those thoughts, but we don't want to dwell on them. We don't want to let them fester. We don't want to sit there and analyze possible future scenarios of these negative thoughts. We want to get them out of our minds as quickly as possible. One of the things that I like to do when a negative thought comes into my brain, I like to visualize me literally pushing it over the edge of a cliff and away, and then I don't see it anymore. I like to literally visualize that in my brain. Now, if you've got a specific person in mind that you know is toxic for you, you know they're a negative person. Maybe they're not all bad, but you know that in combination with you, it's just not healthy. In that case, I want you to literally make a list of all of their negative qualities and then a second list of all of the bad things that they did to you. And the reason for that, I don't want you to just only focus on the negative, because I'm sure there are some positive qualities and some positive things that they did also. Otherwise, you wouldn't be still thinking about them. But the reason for that is a lot of us tend to overlook the negative and we focus obsessively on the positive, and we desperately want that back, and we're not looking at it from a realistic standpoint. So when you make those lists, it helps to kind of put things in perspective and helps you to realize that this person really isn't good for you. They're not healthy for you, and it's not a good idea for you to try and rekindle things. But also, think about your friendships, the healthiest friendships that you have with other people. And what are the qualities that those people have? What are the qualities that attract you to them in a platonic way? And I want you to make a list of those qualities. What are those things? Integrity, values, sense of humor, trustworthiness, loyalty, faithfulness. What are the qualities about those people that attract them to you as a friend? And I want you to write those things down. And then the next time you meet a prospective romantic partner, I want you to think about that list and pull it out, literally, not in front of them, obviously, but pull it out and review that list and see how many of those boxes do they check off. It's okay if they don't check off every single box, but you do want to look for people who check off a lot of those boxes, and then review the list of your ex that you made the negative list about and make sure they don't have too many of those things on the list either. And then don't be afraid to jump ship before you get too emotionally involved with this new person, because then it can be very hard to break free and you begin to justify staying with them even though deep down inside you know it's not a good situation. Now, sometimes the person that you're focused on obsessively might be a narcissist. How do you know if they really are a narcissist? How do you know if they have full-blown NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, or just some toxic traits? How do you know the difference? If that's the boat that you're in, I want you to check out this video right up here on my channel. But for now, I'll see you in the next video.